Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the FXT Mars S. This is a mini FPV camera. You might be familiar with the Predator, so the size and shape is fairly similar, but we'll measure them here after we get a view of what the image looks like. That seems to be what is most important. So let's go ahead and jump into those scenes. You'll notice right away that this is our daylight time, and we also have some OSD from the camera. I'm just running this from 5 volt. That's why you see the 4.9 volts. I'm not sure why it's measuring 0.1 off. That could be actually the VTX I'm powering up from. I'm not certain of that. You also get the runtime, and then you can have your pilot or call sign where the FXT is down there in the bottom. I'm noticing some shimmering effect. That might be called something else in the video world. Sometimes I learn things from you guys where you enlighten me as to the terminology that's used. So that shimmering that we see, it's kind of a digital artifacting almost, maybe that's more accurate, but it seems to handle sunlight pretty well, and we get a little bit of a view. There's a test that I do here in just a few moments where I like it better actually than putting my hand over it, because it's more real world, where I kind of show it underneath the pergola, and I move it back and forth where the sun is between the slat and then blocked by a slat. Over here at the bush, we're just taking a look of what kind of image we get when we look into dark shadows. This is really the darkest place in the yard. I don't know if that's humidity or that halo effect that you see, but it's something to be noted as well. And on the last camera review, a couple of you noted that you would like to see some flight footage, and I'll try to work that out at a later date. I don't have that prepared at this time. And I do have that camera that I just did the pre-release version from Beta FPV. I will be showing some of that flight footage here shortly. I have it on a machine with a new flight controller I was testing. Unfortunately, I don't think the flight controller is all it's cracked up to be, but we get a look at the video from that camera in flight here coming up soon in the next, I would say, 5 days to a week. We continue to move around the backyard, which is my typical space. This is the area that I kind of like. Well, I guess I skipped over that. I'm just showing the sun so you get an idea of the blue hues. But as I swing back to the sun, you kind of get a better idea of how it handles light. I kind of like this a little bit better. That to me feels like a more real-world test. That wraps up our daylight. Now we jump into some nighttime. You see I put my watch up there just so you know what time it is. It's 8:35, and in my location, sunset was at 8:17 or 8:16. I looked that up via the internet, and whatever the weather people say sunset is, that's what I put down. The nighttime performance isn't great. 0.01, it's not 001, but you know, you get to see what it looks like. It's kind of surprising how dark it appears when you look without the sky, and then you look into the yard, and it's real dark. I didn't bother in this case to take any pictures with my iPhone because I just didn't think this part of the test was all that useful. I did this a couple times, and the humidity was so high a few times the camera kept fogging up. Let's head back to the desk and we'll take a few looks at any of the specifications you might want to know about last. In case that wasn't clear, here are the specifications. You can pause the video to look through it. Interesting, I'll call your attention to where it says defog, auto and off. I don't know what that means, because I can tell you defog. If there is a defog, it doesn't work, because I ran this test a few nights when we had storms during the day and the humidity was so high that the camera did fog up, so I don't know what they're talking about there. As far as the scene, outdoor, indoor, and light, I think the light one is referring to if you're running one of those LED lighted tracks. That I don't have those samples to look at, but I think that's what's that for. When I did the outdoors test, I switched through all three of those, and it either made things worse or it didn't have any effect, so I didn't bother to show that, but keep that in mind. Wide input voltage from 4.8 to 36 volts. And you can see the consumption, the image sensor, all those things right there. Another important feature of micro cameras is weight. This is the Micro Predator, and it weighs 5.87 grams. Mars S, it weighs 6.68 grams. It is a 19 by 19 camera, just like the Predator. Comes with a relatively long cable with an OSD controller cable there. The OSD controller looks like a power connector and another connector, a bracket for mounting, screws for mounting, a service card, and the specifications that I've already shown you. I've got my little rig set up here with the little controller. We'll go through the OSD real quick. There are a myriad of settings, and these may be important to you. So we've got the defog, off, on, auto. I've played with that. I can't make it do anything if it works. Picture adjust. We've got the contrast brightness. You can flip this camera, which is a nice thing. Sometimes we need that connector at the bottom. Day, night, color, black and white. That's your only settings there. Shutter is set to auto, but you see some of the settings there. White balance, We've got a few settings there you can change, of course, as well in the environment. That will change some of the settings for you automatically if you select a different environment. DNR, there you get your levels. Backlight HLC and off. Language English, camera reset. And then we've of course got exit. And then when you exit, it asks you whether you want to save or not. I'll just choose cancel. You see here, if I press this top button up for a long time, we get into the OSD to where you can change the scene. You can also change the scene by just pressing left and right, long pressing it. That will rotate through the different scenes that they have available on the camera. Then you see where we have all the OSD information where you can turn that on or off, or you can move that into a different position. Obviously, you can set these to your heart's desire. And then we're back to the home screen, which is nothing. And it pops back up with a little bit of OSD information. I did clear the FXT portion. This camera is sold on Amazon, so if you're desperate for a camera real quick, and this is one that interests you and you're a Prime member, you may be able to pick this one up pretty quickly using your Prime shipping. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please leave that in that section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.